Greetings from the Erie Coast. This is Matt Shad. I'm in here somewhere. There I am. So, the exciting conclusion of my arc. If I can get it out. Yes, I'm lying in bed. So, Mark is telling his story to Steve, who seems to be hanging out, drinking some gin and eating a bowl of Rice Krispies now. As Mark is telling his story, and the picture is behind him, unfolding as he speaks. Because that's how gods do it, right? Yeah. And so when we left, Mark was told by the Dalai Lama to go back to your son. Go back to your family. And then you can come back here. So he does. Takes him a year. He gets back to England. Now, mind you, remember, he's absolutely filthy, stinking rich. He's got 30,000 years worth of money. He's learned a thing or two about finances, hoarding treasures, and things of that nature. So he goes back, and his wife is still not married. She hung on. His son is a year old. And we're going to call his son John. And when he looks upon his son, he's blown away. He's flabbergasted. This feeling of love and connection. The wife, she was well-to-do, filthy, stinking rich, but she was busy raising the son, so and having a grand old time with the son, a year's worth of motherdom. She's pooped. She's done. She's well relieved. She's very relieved when she sees Mark. And Mark says, "Hey, I'm sorry. I had to go somewhere. I'm back. And I'm here to make a life and create a life. Since I created a life, might as well make a life, right?" And the son is amazing. John is amazing. Looks just like Mark in this lifetime. Remember, Mark is he's 30,000 years old and has been reincarnated many, many times. So, and yes, he's had many kids. This is the first one he really looked upon because he changed. The Shaolin changed him somehow. And this life is different. And so he's going to try to make the most of it. Take responsibility for his son. His wife, yeah, and her too. But he's really mainly focused on the son. And so as the years go by, Mark settles into being a father and being a good husband. And when the son starts to grow up, the terrible twos and the 5-year-old, and he sends him to the best schools money can buy. But he has to see his son every day. That's his thing. He has to see his son and just smile. Because he made something. For the first time in his lives, he made something that he's very proud of. He found some type of happiness in this prison. Soon the son grows into 7 years old, 9 years old, a young boy, and Mark is like, I've got to teach him everything, absolutely everything I know. I'm a wealth of knowledge and information. I can teach him things. Some things I can't teach him. So he has to think about that. He's like, well, I can't teach him how to rip a heart of a body out of somebody's chest just yet. No. I can't teach him the secret art of Dimmock. I can't teach him. You probably don't want to be teaching a 10-year-old stuff like that. Or advanced meditation techniques, or how to fight an army and win. I mean, how to fight a tiger and win, how to fight an elephant and win. He knows these things because, well, he's tried and failed and actually kept trying until he won. So all these amazing things that Mark has learned while he was in prison, on this prison planet for 30,000 years, he wants to somehow teach his son and he has to tell him the truth. He feels like he has to tell him the truth. It's the only way that he can understand where all this knowledge comes from. And of course, John, the son, looks at his father with reverence and awe, because his father knows so many things and is amazing. And they're bloody fucking rich. Living in England. So he tells him, yeah. He doesn't tell him. He starts to kind of hint at things like, yeah, things of the past and of the history, and just let slide. Yeah, I was there. It was like a joke, a running joke. And throughout the years, the years go by, John and Mark and his wife, let's see, the wife's name is what? Gertrude? Yeah. Let's say Gertrude. Hey, there I am. I got a face. Yeah, I got a face. A face in the darkness. Kind of. And so, when John turns 16, starts to become a man, so to speak, Mark is just, he's ecstatic that he, at certain times, he's holding back. He's absolutely holding back on everything that he wants to tell his son, that he wants to teach his son, because he knows that his son at certain ages cannot handle the truth, right? So he knows that he has to grow into some type of understanding. So when 16 comes around, he's like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about sex. But he's like, I got to teach you about the pitfalls of sex, first. And so he does that, right? The birds and the bees. for the most part, John's a good kid. I mean, he was a little mischievous, you know. But Mark couldn't really bring himself to punish him per se. He never whooped his ass. He never gave him a spanking. Never really had to. He really influenced his son. But he also understood that his son had the same type of kind of influencing gene that he had. He could feel it. He could feel it working on him. He's like, oh, shit. And every now and then, John would like, hey, let's go for ice cream. Yeah, why not? No, no, we're not doing ice cream. But he would fall for it. His son was quite the influencer as well. So he knew that he had to teach his son how to use his influence in a positive way. Because he knows the pitfalls of being an influencer. Mark knows the pitfalls of being an influencer. And with no way to really turn it off, or direct it or guide it. In a way there is. In a way you can. He tries to teach his son he tries to teach his son on the morals and ethics of it. But he's still kind of learning himself, right? Still trying to learn how to not be that much of an influence. So, I don't know. So he tries. His son starts to get it. And his son becomes a great athlete and very smart and wise. And, a lot of required reading, from his father. And then it was weird because his father would do like essay, hey, let's have a book discussion. And Daddy seemed to know a lot more than the book, because, well, Daddy was there. Son didn't know this yet. But it was the running joke. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there. I was in the great army that crossed the Mongolian steppes into China and took Carthagena. Took Carthage. I was there when the Sicilians were taken down by the Moors. I was there, when this and that and the other. It was amazing. It was amazing how much his son was learning, and it brought Mark so much joy. He's like, wow, my son is growing up. And so by the time he was turned 18, 19, his son was like, well, I guess I'm going to college, And by this time, Mark is getting pretty long in the tooth. He's trying to figure out ways to keep himself alive longer so he can be with his son. He's like, damn it, I'm growing old and I know I'm going to die somehow. And I'm going to come back, I don't know. I'm going to come back, I'm going to reincarnate, and my son's not going to know who I am. So he brings his son out one night. He says, hey, I've really got to tell you something. And it's going to blow your fucking mind. He's like, I am 30,000 years old. What? Yes. And I reincarnate every time I die. And I've been doing this for 30,000 or almost 30,000 years. 29,000 years, right? 29,500 years. So 29,500 years. And his son John at this time is 18, 19 years old. doing really good in Oxford, following in the footsteps of his father and looking into law and, you know, getting getting active and doing things in the law portion of England. So looking at parliaments and things of that nature. It was an interesting time at that point in England's history there. So he was working on that with the with Oxford and the college and all that and the law. And Mark was like, "Son, you're always going to be rich. You're never going to. I give you everything. I've amassed a great fortune, and there's more. There's a lot more. But I want to see you, and I want to see you again after I die." You know, John is blown away. He's like, "I don't understand, Dad. There's no way you can see me after you die. What, are you going to come back and haunt me?" He's like, "No. I'm going to come back as another person. But I will still be the same dad. I will still be the same person, just in a different body." And John is truly amazing. He's flabbergasted. I don't understand. No, you're lying to me, Dad. You're lying to me. You're joking with me. Once again, this is one of your elaborate tales that you've been telling me all your life. Ha ha, I've been there. He's like, "No, son, I was telling the truth. I was there. I remember it. I can tell you details that are not in the book." He's like, "I'll prove it to you. I'm going to give you a name, and you are not to say it to anyone. You are not to speak it. You are not to write it down. You are not to tell it to a friend. You're not even tell your mom. That name is Ma'ark. Ma'ark." Like, that's your name, Mark. He's like, "Yeah, but it's broken up. Just bear with me here. Ma'ark." Right? Ma'ark. If somebody walks up to you and says they are Ma'ark, guess what? It's me. And then we can carry on. And John, his son, is blown away. Just absolutely blown away. It's like, "I don't believe you. You're stupid. No, Dad, you're crazy. You're crazy. He's like, "Son, I'm very serious. How do you think I got so rich?" I have more gold than the Queen of England. Of course, hey, the first one, we had some fun times. Anyway, I wasn't always a good lad, a good boy. But so he tells his son this. He's like, "Promise me. You've got to promise me that you won't tell a soul. You won't tell anyone. It's just me and you. It's our little secret, just between me and you. And one day, a stranger is going to walk up to you and say that they are me. It's going to be me." And John's like, "Okay, all right, whatever." They're having drinks in the backyard, which is about 300 acres. And they get home, and all is kind of forgotten. It goes about their lives. And then the mom dies. Mom is sick. Mom dies in her bed with son and husband by her side. You know, Mark takes it okay. He's seen death a few times, but this one was different. This one was his wife, the mother of his child. It affected him greatly. It really did. He cried. He cried. Even though he tried to be stoic and strong, he couldn't hold back the tears. And he let them flow freely. Him and his son, the bond between them grew even stronger. And Mark says to his son, that's going to be me soon. You just watch. And sure enough, the day comes when John is finishing up his time at Oxford, and he's being accepted into a law firm, and Parliament is taking wild, new, exciting changes, and he's getting to be a part of that transformation, this new era in history, and he's becoming a part of that. And he's like, wow, this is amazing. And then he's called to his father's deathbed. He's like, son, this is all yours. Everything is yours. But remember what I said, I'll be back. My name is Mark. And we will meet again, son. And John is crying, no, Dad, no. You can't die. You're delusional. It's never going to happen. And, So Mark passes away. Dies once again. And his son carries on the name, carries on the mantle, and becomes a very prominent figure in Parliament, and starts a bit of a revolution there, and with his massive amount of wealth, he can be an influencer, and he is an influencer. So he starts to make some drastic changes that the crown did not like. But as he's at the estate, he keeps thinking about his father and how crazy that idea was, right? So sure enough, Mark reincarnates and has to grow up from a child, knowing his son is growing older and older by the minute, and he cannot get to his son fast enough. Oh yeah, he's born in China. He's been born in China, like Malaysia. No, China, Malaysia. I don't know. I'm delusional, folks. But I was going to say India. I was going to say America, but they wasn't America yet. This predates America. And so he writes. He tries writing letters, and there's no way. And he's just a poor kid in China, growing up, and he knows that he has a little bit of time, when he's 10 years old, he knows his son's going to be in his 30s. When he's 15 years old, he knows his son, when finally he becomes an 18-year-old, his son is going to be in his 40s. And now he can go. So he takes off, and he, as fast as he can, travels the land to England, a Chinese man, a Chinese lad trying to make it to his son. So you can imagine a Chinese man in England in the 1800s. But Mark has been there many, many times, but now it's different. Now he's trying to get to his son. His son, who is older than him. And he comes upon the estate, and he gets turned away. There's guards there. Why are there guards at my house? At my son's house. Why are there guards here? And they turn him away, and they threaten to kill him and all this. And he's like, no, I know the owner. Please tell him that I'm here to see him. It's very important business. And no, they turn him away, and they threaten to kill him. And so Mark is like, fuck, what do? I gotta hang out, gotta wait. So he waits, and he hides, in the woods, and waits for his son to come out. In the carriage, take off out of the estate in his carriage or something. And he does. But it's like 3 or 4 carriages, and there's soldiers involved. They've got piked weapons and bows and arrows and muskets. Shit. And he's waving. He stops. I don't understand how I can how can I stop them? How can I stop this train of 3 carriages, horse-drawn carriages? Okay. So he goes on down the road, and he fells a tree, blocking the road. Right, that'd do it. And sure enough, they come to a halt. They come to a halt way before the obstruction, and they start to get out, and they're all fanning out, looking around, and high alert. And Mark is looking at this, going, "Why are they such high alert? What's going on here?" And John is in the center of the carriage progression, and Mark sneaks around to the side, kind of flanking them, and yells to his son, "Hey, John! It's me! John! Hey, John, it's me!" And John comes out and goes, "Who calls my name? Show yourself. Is this an ambush?" It's like, "John, no, it's me. It's Mark." John is like, "What?" "Soldiers, get ready." He's telling his soldiers to get ready. This might be a trick. This might be a trap. He's like, "Show yourself now, or we're coming in after you." All the men are just on edge, and they're taking cover, and they're readying their muskets, and bayonets are fixed, and wow, this is getting serious. And then Mark he's behind a tree. He's like, "God damn it. What's going on here?" And he peeks his head around the tree and goes, "I am Mark. I am Mark. Mark. I am Mark." And John's like, "Stand down, stand down, stand down. Come to me. Come to my carriage." He's like, but soldiers, strip him first, search him. Make sure he's not carrying any weapons. Make sure this is not an assassin, So they rough him. John comes out, or Mark comes out, and the soldiers kind of rough him up a little bit, and manhandle him, make sure he's not carrying any weapons, and make him take off his pants, take off his shirt, and then he can proceed. And the whole time there's one guy with a musket trained on him. And John says, "Come into the carriage now." And John has a musket on him. He sits down. He's like, "John, it's me, your dad. It took me a while to get here, but I'm here." And John was like, "You're a Chinese man. And you're young. I'm in my 40s, pushing 50s. Here you are, a 20-year-old Chinese man. I don't believe this. I don't believe you're my father. And if I don't believe you're my father, I'll kill you now where you sit. You best convince me that you're my father." He's like, "Yeah? Oh, that's easy to do." And Mark tells him about his life, about John's life, about all the little things, his wife. He tells him of the scar on the back of his leg when he fell down into a deadfall, chasing after a dog in the woods. And how that branch cut him. Nobody else knows about that because it's covered. Or how about the time that you broke your nose in a fist fight? when you were 7 years old. Who knows about that? Who knows that your mom's name was Gertrude and she liked lavender tea? Yeah. I told you I'd be back. I told you. And John is just looking at this young Chinese man in disbelief. After his story, he's just flabbergasted. And Mark is like, "Son, you want to put that gun away? You're still hanging on to it." And John is like, "Wow. How?" It's like, "I told you. I've been alive for 30,000 years. I've been on this planet for 30,000 years, and I always die, and I always reincarnate. And I told you I'd be back. And here I am. I had to be born, and I had to grow. I had to pass through childhood, and I had to pass through puberty, and I had to pass through all that to get here, to see you. And here I am." So John says, "Okay, we're going back home." Right away. Right away, he goes back home. They go back to the estate. And it's amazing. It's an amazing story. They go back home, and John informs his father, whose name is Junginke, but also Mark. He informs him that things have took a drastic change. That the crown is a very oppressive thing, and they're trying to overthrow it, but it's not working out well. There's a there's something going on in a place called the United States of America, or no, the colonies. I'm sorry, the colonies. Yeah, the colonies in a place called America. Yeah. And Mark is like, I've heard of this. Americus Vespucci. He was a map maker. Yeah, yeah. I knew his family. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've been in Naples a few times. So, yeah, there's that. It's like we're thinking about going there, but there's a lot of people want me dead. A lot of people want to, silence me for the work I've been doing in the Parliament and everything. And Mark is overjoyed. He's like, wow, you're really doing something positive here. Really. He's like, well, we need to talk about something, son. We need to keep this going. We need to establish and build a 1,000-year system, a society where I keep coming back and meeting with the ancestors, your sons, your daughters, the grandsons and granddaughters, and we can keep this movement going. I've seen it work. A place called Tibet. The Dalai Lama. We can do this. John is just amazed. He's like, yeah, this is a great idea. I mean, this is something that can last the ages and can really, last the sands of time, outlast time itself. And each year will grow stronger and stronger and stronger. And every time the you will return. So now I'm outside smoking a cigarette. Continuing. So John and Mark, they decide to start this secret society. And it's a society composed of their family. And of course, Mark being the patriarch, the ever-returning patriarch, the ever-dying and ever-returning patriarch. So throughout the turmoil and strife, Mark teaches his son that it's sometimes it's best to deny the battle, well, they go to America, to the colonies, to Boston, find themselves in this amazing land. And they find themselves in an amazing situation. It appears that there's a revolution afoot. Good revolution. John and Mark are in this secret society. They're like, we gotta do something here. We gotta do something. We gotta contribute, help, but without getting caught. Because Mark's learned a thing or two about secret societies. They come and they go. They get exterminated. And he said that, well, we gotta help. So they help. And they help to fund and create a government and a rebellion against the crown. John, using his amazing law background, and of course Mark too. He spent a lot of time in the law field. He knew what it was. So they do these things, and they're irrelevant to the story. They keep their home in England. They build a home in the Americas. Now it's something totally different. They're like, wow, we've really made something here. It's amazing. We've helped. And Mark's like, okay, getting son. Yeah, you're getting old here. You're in your 60s. Yeah, you're not gonna last too long. And Mark is besides himself. His son is going to die in front of him. And he has to remain and live on. But he has the sons. He has his grandsons and granddaughters. So within this very rich society, a very rich secret society, Mark and his grandsons and his granddaughters, the whole family involved, they set out to be the protectorate of this newfound country, this newfound world. And that's Mark's vision, is to be able to help and do some good here in this prison that he's stuck in. And he tries everything. He tries everything he can possibly think of, for a man that's been around for 30,000 years, a god who has not been able to escape death, who has not been able to escape rebirth. And over. He tries to figure out ways to prolong his son's life as long as he can. Even tries to look into things to make him immortal. He can't. There's no way. After exhausting all his resources, which are vast, he spent most of his money, but he spent a considerable fortune trying to figure out how to keep his son alive. While he was on his son's deathbed, though, his son, in his 80s, old and decrepit, Mark, the father, getting old himself too, feeling death growing near, still has some life ahead of him. John looks at his father and says, I'll be back, Dad. I'll say, John. My name is John. Yeah. Passes away. Mark cries. He knows that his son will never come back. He's gone. He's never coming back. He's never reincarnating. He's not him. But something inside John and something inside Mark says, maybe it's a possibility. He is my son. I don't know. So the doubt possibility is still there. And as the years roll on, the good things that the secret society does, he connects with his his grandsons and his granddaughters. Tells them that, yes, I'll be back. Oh yeah, be on the lookout for your father too. That's a possibility.